everyone, welcome back. So I watched Spider-Man No Way Home about a week ago, and I really liked it. It's a great movie, and it's the first Marvel movie in a long time that I actually want to go back and rewatch. But I do not like the ending, because it reminds me too much of the ending to a movie that I've been talking about a lot on this channel. And that movie is Troll Hunters Rise of the Titans. Spoiler alert to anyone who hasn't seen either of these movies. I highly recommend you watch both of them. But now, on to the spoilers. No Way Home's ending is similar to Rise of the Titans' ending because of the outcome. And it's a cliche that really needs to stop. Basically, this new cliche or trope is a movie or series ending with the main character starting over from scratch. In Rise of the Titans, Jim resets the timeline and goes all the way back to the beginning, before he became the Troll Hunter, in hopes that he'll be able to save everyone. As a result of resetting the timeline, he has to build his relationship with Claire again, and become the Troll Hunter again. Oh, wait! But yeah, this ending made the entire series feel pointless because nothing in the series actually happened. It was a waste of time, and I don't consider it canon anymore. Now, let's take a look at Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie does the cliche in probably the best way possible, but that's not saying much. In order to not let the universe collapse, Peter tells Strange that he can erase everyone's memory of Peter Parker. For one, they actually have a good reason as to why they have to do this, unlike in Rise of the Titans where they reset the timeline just because a few people died even though they already saved the world.
Did we save the world? Yeah, we did.
But the result of making everyone forget doesn't make things any more satisfying. Now, you might be thinking, well, at least Peter didn't reset the timeline or something like that. True. That's why I say it did it better. But it's still not a good ending. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth, the fact that nobody remembers Peter's existence. In a way, that's kind of a good thing because he can go back to being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, especially since everyone still knows about Spider-Man, just not who is Spider-Man. But to me, it feels like lazy writing. It feels like they only did this for corporate reasons because the contract hasn't been renewed for Spider-Man to continue in the MCU. So they took the safe option and just made everyone forget Peter's existence. Also, the problem with this cliche is no matter how well you tell it, it makes most of what we saw pointless. Because there was a lot of focus on the friendship between Peter and Ned, and there was a lot more focus on the relationship between Peter and MJ. Now, it doesn't matter. It never happened to anyone except for Peter. While it's not as severe, it's practically resetting the timeline. Just like in Rise of the Titans, Jim only remembers what happened in the previous timeline, while everyone else doesn't. It's not the same exact idea, but it's a similar concept of the main character starting over. I've seen other reviews online, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, but the negatives outweigh the positives in No Way Home's ending for me. In my eyes, it just uses a cliche that ruins every franchise it touches, because inherently, it makes most of what we saw pointless, no matter how well it was done. It's not like the cliche that you see in recent Disney movies where the main character says goodbye to everyone else.
You know, you belong up here.
Because that cliche can be done right, like in Toy Story 4. It worked there because the whole movie was leading up to it, and it was a great progression of Woody's character. In No Way Home, the story was leading to that ending, but making everyone forget about Peter only makes him worse as a character. Going back to square one, going back to being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and leaving everything behind. Nobody loves or cares about him. Nobody even knows he exists. That sounds to me like, it's not a real word, but a deprogression. The actual word is regression of Peter's character and the story in general. Does that sound like a good ending? I'm legitimately asking. I want you to leave a comment, like, giving your thoughts, because I would love to know. Again, there are positives to it, but all it does is remind me of Troll Hunters Rise of the Titans ending, which I'm just gonna say is what the majority of the Tales of Arcadia community dislikes. Yeah, Rise of the Titans did it way, way worse, erasing everything we watched and making Toby the Troll Hunter, but that doesn't mean that No Way Home's ending doesn't remind me of that. It's turning into a cliche that I want to stop because it's not satisfying no matter how well you tell the story. It is a cheap storyline to go to, and they try to butter it up with some substance, like Peter moving to his own apartment and being independent and making his own decisions and all that good stuff. No, that's not all that's happening here. The definition of independent is free from outside control, not depending on another's authority. And the other definition is not depending on another for livelihood or subsistence. Now, nowhere in there does it say that being independent means being completely alone. It just means you're responsible for your own decisions in life. Nobody is supporting Peter along the way, and nobody knows or loves him. That's not independence, that's loneliness. That's not a good thing. They tried really hard to justify using that cliche by showing that he's independent and he's making his own decisions without realizing that he's actually just lonely. Even if you're Spider-Man and you have superpowers, you can't do things by yourself sometimes. That's why troll hunters put a huge emphasis on not troll hunter, troll hunters. It's not me, it's us. I can't defeat the Gum-Gums alone. I need help. I'm not saying that Spider-Man the superhero needs to implement that, but rather Peter Parker needs to implement that in his own phone. Peter Parker needs to implement that in his personal life. One more thing is, I don't like the idea that Peter thinks MJ and Ned are better off without him in their lives. How does he know that? Didn't he promise them that he'll find them again and then, be friends with Ned again and have a relationship with MJ again? Where did he get the idea that they're better off without him? I hate to bring up the troll hunters thing again, but it reminds me of when Jim's mom found out that Jim is the troll hunter. Her memory of that was wiped, and then Jim never told her the truth until she herself got her memories back, and he was forced to tell her the truth, even though he promised he would tell her the truth in the first place. Peter, you make a promise, and you're not supposed to break that promise. Jim made a promise that he would go with his friends to the Darklands together, but when Arg died, he went alone because he didn't want to lose anyone else. Peter has the same mindset. Dude, you were best friends with Ned. You even had a handshake. You had a very close relationship with MJ, and then you threw it all away. It does sound selfless at first glance, but think about what they were thinking before their memories were wiped. Does Peter really think that MJ and Ned would have wanted that? Probably not. So is it really that selfless that Peter decides, without them knowing, what's best for them? And breaking probably the most important promise he could make at this point. Jim promised to be with Claire when he reset the timeline. And he is following through with that promise. That's one good thing about Rise of the Titans ending, is Jim's character growth. He broke promises before, and he won't break promises again. Character growth, am I right? Peter has grown as a person, don't get me wrong, but it rubs me the wrong way, the fact that he broke his promise. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for this video. I would love to hear your thoughts because, again, I have a pretty unpopular opinion. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and check out my Discord in the description. Thank you for watching and goodbye.